The same work of renewal drove Harold Wilson and Gough Whitlam through the 1960s and 70s, when their governments made equality for women a Labor cause, when they grasped that for Labor to continue to be the party of fairness and justice, we had to become a party for the elimination of discrimination and prejudice. Just as in the 1980s and 90s, Bob Hawke and Paul Keating passed the torch to Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, where in both our countries, Labor was able to remain the party of compassion and opportunity by embracing our role as the party of openness, aspiration and prosperity. In the pages of the history books, and with the benefit of hindsight, all that seems like a natural progression, but we know different. We know every generation encountered resistance. We know every generation had to overcome sceptics and cynics. And we know that every Labor generation understood that to fulfil their purpose, achieve their goals, give life to their values, and keep faith with the people and movement they served, they had to be in government. Government is where you get things done. The Labor mission has never been a theoretical exercise or just a rhetorical one. Our work is measured in deeds, and it depends on delivery, on change our citizens can see, tangible, practical outcomes that make a positive difference to people's lives. This is where all of you here in the UK had the most valuable resource for any Labor government, the asset every progressive leader in every positive and ambitious government wishes they had more of: time. To give you some sense of that, in Australia, my colleagues and I were re-elected less than 5 months ago, and yet our next election is due before yours. For Labor governments, every single day counts, because it takes time to turn promises into progress. It takes time for plans to work and be seen to work, for inflation to fall, wages to rise, new homes to be finished, new energy connected, new hospitals to open, new investments in education to flow into results. It takes time to tackle problems that have been created over decades. It takes time to repay trust by delivering on commitments, and in doing so, build trust for future action. It takes time to make change with people and make change work for people. And none of that means we can expect or ask for patience. Cost of living pressures do not wait. Communities that need new jobs and homes cannot wait. Families that need better schools and hospitals cannot wait. The challenges that the world throws at us, from economic turmoil to threats to our national security, never wait. And the action that we need to take on climate change, the work we need to do to seize the jobs and opportunities of clean energy, that cannot wait. So while governments always need to be able to tell the difference between what's urgent and what's important, in the end, we have to do both. To take immediate action in a way that anticipates and creates future opportunities, to navigate stormy seas while always keeping our eyes on the horizon, and to bring both optimism and urgency to the work of delivery, to acknowledge the pressures that people are under, explain the causes and take action to help. To make it clear that while we cannot always predict or control the challenges we will face, we can determine how we will respond. In Australia, our election came against the backdrop of the worst global inflation since the 1980s and the biggest international energy crisis since the 1970s. And there was no quick fix, no easy answer. These same circumstances had brought about the defeat of incumbents around the world and had some predicting that our first-term Labor government would be defeated or reduced to minority. But one of the reasons we won re-election and indeed were able to increase our majority is because in difficult times we offered people real hope. We didn't pretend that we had solved every problem in just 3 years, but we could point to an economy that was turning the corner. Inflation down, wages up, unemployment low, and interest rates starting to fall. And we offered a second-term agenda that built on the patient and disciplined work we had done in our first term. A positive plan to cut taxes, boost wages, build homes, and make it easier to see a doctor for free. That is the work we are focused on delivering now. That's the essential task of every Labor government, to apply our timeless Labor values to the challenges of our time. And friends, in 2025, our values and purpose and effort are needed more than ever before. In an era where artificial intelligence is transforming our economies, we must stand up for secure jobs and fair wages. We must show our citizens that what Harold Wilson called the white heat of technology can forge new opportunities for working people at a time where young people feel the housing market is beyond their reach. We must build the new homes and create the economic opportunity that revives the dream of home ownership. For cities and regions on the front lines of economic change, we must invest in the education and training that empowers people to fulfil their potential. And we must build the clean energy that will power new jobs and industries. We approach this work with determination and with optimism, because all of these problems can be solved, all of these opportunities can be seized, but only if our people continue to see our institutions as the best way to make it happen. We all know this is a time when trust in governments and institutions is under challenge. We all sense this is an era where our capacity for peaceful disagreement is being tested. But what I see here in UK Labor, under this man, this leader, this Prime Minister, my friend, is the same determination that I know lives in every member of the Australian Labor Party, an absolute resolve to stand together and defend democracy itself. Friends, this is where one of the oldest choices that both our parties made remains one of the most important. In Australia and here in the United Kingdom, the trade union movement chose to advance the rights of working people, not just in workplaces, but by forming a political party. In Australia and the UK, Labor, as a movement, chose democracy. We chose Parliament and progress over protest. We chose to be both a movement for change and a party of government. We chose to make ourselves part of a system where our political fortunes rise and fall on the power of ideas and the judgment of our citizens. We set ourselves the task of winning people's trust and proving worthy of it. And make no mistake, when we chose democracy, we chose the hard road, because building to last takes time. Delivering change is more difficult than just demanding it. Working within the system is tougher than railing against it. And creating solutions requires more of us than just shouting slogans. In a democracy, being a party of government means grappling with uncertainty and complexity. It means dealing with the gritty realities of the world as it is And it means making, and yes, owning, tough decisions in the national interest. Being honest with people about the scale of the challenges facing us and the time and effort required to meet them. But friends, we wouldn't have it any other way. We're better for all of that. Our plans and policies are stronger for it. Our vision and our ambition for our people is bigger because of it. And our countries are better for it too. Because in the end, the hard road is the only one that takes us anywhere. Tearing things down is easy, but it doesn't leave you with anything. The low politics of fear and resentment are easy, but they only divide the country, they don't advance it. The things worth doing are hard, and things worth doing are worth fighting for. Friends, democracy was a defining choice that both our parties made. I want to finish with an old truth that both our movements know, a message that the men and women of the trade union movement carried on their banners more than a century ago. Unity of Labor is the hope of the world. That has always been Labor at our best. Unity of party and unity of purpose. A movement that looks out to the world with hope for the future and works together to make it better. Unity of Labor reflects the power of solidarity to drive change, and it reflects the responsibility of Labor to promote unity, to foster cooperation and understanding in the world, and to build cohesion, respect and harmony at home. We do that by embracing patriotism as a truly progressive cause, by demonstrating that our love of country is what drives us to serve it, and also to change it for the better, by encouraging pride in everything that sets our nations apart from the world, by building faith in everything that brings us together, and by making it clear that the strength and power of the symbols that unite us lies in the faith that they belong to all of our citizens, not just some. Because in both our nations, our democracy, our laws and our values are for all of us to take pride in, for all of us to protect, for all of us to build on. Unity of Labor is the hope of the world, and in that spirit of hope, unity and solidarity, I wish you all the very best for an absolutely fantastic conference. Thank you for having me.
Let everybody take the seats. Barely now. Okay, everybody, I'll just let everybody get settled and then we'll get started again. Settling could take a while. I think the settling could take a while.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Quite a big turnover.
Yeah. where's the gym?
Sometimes up, we're happy.
Them lights make it very hard to see what's going
Too
on
much
here.
talking, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that. Right. Are we nearly there, conference? I'm sure there's seats for everyone. Come on. Let's
Conference, it is an honour to address you as Labour's Secretary of State for Scotland. And let me start by paying tribute to the work of my friend and my predecessor, who kept the flag flying for Scottish Labour in the toughest of times. So, Ian, thank you for the work that you've done and the service you have given our party. Now, at last year's general election, when, let us remember, we held just 2 seats in Scotland, we made a promise that there would be Scots at the heart of a Labour government. And just over a year later, right across government, Scottish Labour ministers are harnessing the power of the United Kingdom to deliver for Scotland. Not just Ian's work on the creative industries at the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, but Kirsty McNeil's work to deliver local regeneration from the Scotland office, Michael Shanks and Martin McCluskey's work to deliver good jobs and clean energy from the Department of Energy, Blair McDougall's work to deliver our modern industrial strategy, and Zubair Ahmed's work at the Department of Health, proving that with a Labour government, waiting lists come down. We pledged, conference, that a vote for Scottish Labour wasn't just a vote to send a message, it was a vote to send a government. A promise made, conference, a promise delivered. Now, we all understand that across Scotland and indeed across the whole of the United Kingdom, that people are still suffering. Too many people feel ignored and forgotten, and there is still so much to do. We hear you, we get it. But the simple truth is this: no government, however determined, could undo all the damage of 14 years in just 14 months. So I want to assure you today that the work of change in Scotland is now underway. And the difference that we're making as a Labour government inspired by Labour values is both meaningful and measurable. Our Labour government has already raised the minimum wage and delivered a pay rise for 200,000 of the lowest paid workers in Scotland. We've delivered a £10 billion frigate deal that will secure 2,000 well-paid unionised jobs and so guaranteed the future of shipbuilding on the Clyde. We've delivered the largest budget settlement for Scotland in the history of devolution, burying Tory austerity once and for all. And conference, thanks to the campaigning efforts of our Scottish Labour MPs, Last week, a Labour-led Scotland office delivered direct funding of almost £300 million for regeneration to communities across Scotland, from the inner cities to the outer isles. So why, with the UK government now delivering record levels of investment to Scotland, do our communities feel that their public services are worse and not better? The facts don't lie. 20 years of the SNP running Scotland has taken our nation backwards on education, on health, on housing, on ferries, and backwards on pretty much everything for which they are responsible. That's why their election strategy seems to be, we've made a mess of everything we're responsible for, so let's talk about anything other than how we're running Scotland. Like independence, or Nigel Farage, or independence, or Donald Trump, or independence, or pretty much anything other than the present state of Scotland. Never has so much political capital been accumulated by one political party to so little effect. 20 years of Salmond, Sturgeon and Swinney, and there is so little to show for it. Can you really claim to be stronger for Scotland when you've weakened our public services and stagnated in government? Jackie Baillie put it best. The truth is, if John Swinney knew how to fix the challenges Scotland faces, he'd have done it by now. But conference, if the SNP won't talk about their record, then we surely will. In our hospitals, 1 in 6 of us are on waiting lists in Scotland. 100,000 Scots waiting in preventable pain for more than a year. In our schools, a sorry record of rising violence and falling standards. A housing crisis that continues to worsen, an economy held back. The majority of the Scottish public already know that the SNP are bad enough that they deserve to lose. So our challenge over the coming months is to convince the majority that we're good enough that we deserve to win. Together, from now until next May, we will make the case that a different and better future for our nation is possible. The SNP as a nationalist party is dedicated to making Scotland independent. Everyone understands that. But the harsh truth is that if you wake up every morning thinking, what can I do today to move Scotland closer towards independence? That means you start the day focused on difference, on division, and on grievance. And in today's world of political, economic, and technological tumult, that approach is just letting Scotland down. Now is the time to focus on building and not breaking, on cooperating, not on conflict, on working together and not pulling apart. We need and deserve in Scotland a First Minister committed to solidarity and not separation, to ensure that Scotland's aspirations are backed by the full strength of the United Kingdom. That is why the next First Minister has to be someone who will put the people of Scotland first, before constitutional obsession, or party advantage, or populist politics. Someone who will have both the ideas and, frankly, the energy. Someone willing to tackle the failure and complacency and be the person who wakes up every morning thinking, what can I do today to make Scotland's public services fit for the people of Scotland? And who can I work with today to make that happen faster? My friend, our leader, Anas Sarwar, has dedicated his life to public service. From working as an NHS dentist in Paisley, to calling out racism and speaking up for the marginalised, to delivering 37 Scottish Labour MPs, and most recently delivering victory in Hamilton, Larkhall, Stonehouse, and yes, in Barrhead. Anas Sarwar Conference, Anas Sarwar just keeps listening, keeps working, keeps leading, and yes, keeps winning. Conference, let me ask you to show your appreciation for our Scottish Labour leader, the man I believe, with your support, will be Scotland's next First Minister, Anas Sarwar.
A year ago, we delivered a UK Labour government, and in just 7 months' time, we can start the journey for change in Scotland too. And that election is a choice. Do we carry on as we are, or do we take a new direction? Do we see our Parliament as a vehicle for protest or a vehicle for change? And that choice is a simple one. A third decade of the SNP, carrying on the managed decline, or do we take a new direction with a Scottish Labour government and a Scottish Labour First Minister working every day to make life better for the people of Scotland and seeing government as service to you? Scottish Labour, ambitious for Scotland, ambitious for the future, ready to win and ready to serve.
Conference, thank you. Conference, thank you. It's an honour to be with you here in Liverpool today, and it's fantastic to be introduced by our new Secretary of State for Scotland, Douglas Alexander. Douglas, as Secretary of State and as co-chair of our Scottish election campaign, alongside the brilliant Jackie Bailey, I know, yeah, big cheer for Jackie. I know you will bring your passion, intellect and energy to help deliver another historic election victory in Scotland next year. And Douglas, you are carrying on the important work done by our dear friend Ian Murray. The Conference, Douglas and Ian are now just 2 out of 9 Scottish Labour MPs serving our great country as ministers, proving that Scotland is at the heart of our Labour government and that Scotland is the beating heart of Labour's future. And since getting rid of the Tories last summer, we have begun the work of clearing up their mess and changing our country for the better. But let's be honest, it's not been easy, and it was never going to be. That's why we need to be more confident in telling our Labour story. We can't expect the right-wing press to do our job for us. We can't afford to be shy about the successes we have had or about the positive changes we are making. If we aren't going to talk about our successes, then no one else will. If we aren't going to tell our positive story, then people aren't going to hear it. So let's not be shy about our Labour story and what we have achieved in the past 15 months. Our New Deal for working people, the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, raising wages for over 3 million British workers, ending the scandal of fire and rehire, scrapping exploitative zero-hour contracts and improving rights for millions of workers. That's the difference we are making to so many lives, so let's not be shy about that. We have delivered economic stability after years of Tory chaos. And you know what that means? That means that the average mortgage in our country is now £1,500 lower since Labour came to power. And the average wage in our country is now £1,800 higher since Labour came to power. So a full-time working couple with a mortgage could now be £5,000 better off. And that's thanks to this Labour government. So let's not be shy about that. We have returned the United Kingdom to the top table in the world. We've led the way in calling for peace and security across the globe. We've stood by Ukraine in their struggle against Russian aggression. We have stood with our NATO allies in the defence of our European borders. We have called for a lasting peace and an end to the illegal occupation and the release of hostages in Israel and Palestine. And we have, at the UN General Assembly, finally recognised the state of Palestine, righting a historic wrong and ending almost a century-long injustice. So let's not be shy about that. Because, Conference, this is a Labour government promoting peace, securing trade deals, and standing up for Britain on the world stage, meaning more investment, more jobs, and more exports, and better outcomes for Scottish workers and Scottish businesses. Trade deals with the EU, India, and the US that will increase exports by billions of pounds, attract billions in investment, and create tens of thousands of new, well-paid jobs. So let's not be shy about that. At conference, I want to share a personal story. My first ever political campaign, when I was just 16 years old, was to try and save shipbuilding on the Clyde. But what has this Labour government delivered in just 15 months? 15 years of work for Clyde shipbuilders, securing thousands of jobs, a £10 billion deal that is the largest export deal in the history of shipbuilding in the UK, securing the future of shipbuilding in my home city of Glasgow for years to come. So let's not be shy about that. And after a decade and a half of Tory misrule, this UK Labour government has ended austerity once and for all. This is the difference that a Labour government is making. So let's not be shy about that. And none of this would have been possible if we hadn't got rid of the rotten Tories last year. A UK Labour government improving lives across the country. But conference, the truth is that we need to go further and shout louder about what we have done. Because the fact is, we are allowing our opponents to set the political weather too often. We are changing lives for the better, but we have to be more confident in telling our story. Confident in how we're improving lives for the better. Confident in how our Labour values reflect those of our great country. And confident about the UK's future. But the work of change is not being felt equally across the UK. Because in Scotland, we are being held back by a tired and out-of-touch SNP government. Let's look at the contrast. In England, under Labour, NHS waiting lists are falling. In Scotland, under the SNP, 1 in 6 Scots are on an NHS waiting list. Here, patients are being seen quicker, but not in Scotland. Do you know there are more people waiting over 2 years on an NHS waiting list in Glasgow alone than the whole of England combined? Here, schools are now recovering after a decade and a half of Tory misrule, while under the SNP, our schools are falling down the international league tables. Here, the Labour government is getting spades in the ground to build new homes, while in Scotland, the SNP are failing to deal with a national housing emergency. A UK Labour government is returning neighbourhood policing to local communities. But in Scotland, under the SNP, police numbers are cut and police stations are closing. So if you want to feel change in Scotland, change in the parts of government that touch you and your family every day, then we need to beat the SNP, replace the First Minister, and have a new occupant in Butte House. And in just 7 months, with your support, Scottish Labour will deliver just that. Because Scotland can't afford another decade of SNP rule, opportunities squandered, potential wasted. A UK Labour government delivered record funding to Scotland that the SNP could have spent improving our NHS and our schools. Since the election, they have had an extra £5.2 billion to spend. £5.2 billion. But what have we got to show for it in Scotland? Where has the money gone? So what have they done with Labour's record budget settlement? 880,000 Scots on an NHS waiting list. 100,000 patients waiting for over a year for treatment. And record numbers are having to shell out and pay privately to get the care they need. Where has the money gone? Despite record funding, The reality is, when Scots need our NHS, too often it's not there and they are let down. Because the brutal truth is that Scotland's NHS won't survive a third decade of John Swinney and this knackered and out-of-touch SNP government. Record funding from Labour for our NHS in Scotland, but where has the money gone? This is just characteristic of an SNP government that cannot be trusted with your money. Scots working hard and paying their taxes all their lives, but when they look at Scotland's public services, what do they see? Cuts to police numbers, rising violent crime, falling education standards, 10,000 homeless children, and Scots being forced to emigrate to get jobs as doctors, nurses and teachers. Scots paying more and more and getting less and less from the SNP. So we are rightly demanding to know, where has the money gone? We need to stop the SNP embezzling opportunities from Scots with their incompetence. And that's why there's a stark choice before Scotland in just 7 months. More failure and decline with the SNP, or a new direction with Scottish Labour. The choice is the past with John Swinney or the future. That is the simple and straight choice before the people of Scotland. And the need for change to unlock Scotland's potential could not be clearer. Scotland is a nation full of ambition, potential and opportunity. We have world-leading businesses, unique natural resources and global brands that command respect across the world. We are world leaders in renewable technology, home to cutting-edge scientific and tech institutions and several renowned research-intensive universities. Scotland has so much to offer, but the truth is we are being held back by an SNP government that looks for excuses, not solutions. But their time is running out. They are now the past, we are the future, and we have only 7 months to make that future a reality. And conference, we have defied the odds and proven the pollsters wrong before, and we will do it again. They said we couldn't win in Scotland last year. We did. They said we couldn't win in the Hamilton by-election. We did. And we are going to do the same again next year. And let me say something about that by-election in Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse, because it's a good preview of the election. The gutter politics and bile of reform and the cheap and cynical politics of the SNP, while we as Scottish Labour were relentlessly focused on the issues that matter. In Hamilton, reform attempted to set community against community and even cast doubt on my identity. The truth is, Farage probably didn't even know where Hamilton was. He probably thought it was a show in the West End of London. So I say to Nigel, Scotland is my home. I am working day and night to change my country for the better. My story is Scotland's story, whereas you are a pathetic, poisonous little man that doesn't care about Scotland, doesn't understand Scotland, and Scotland will utterly reject you. Thank you. And friends, all reform can do is create noise. All they're interested in is creating noise. And all they risk doing is keeping the failing SNP in power. And the SNP and John Swinney, what did they shamefully do in that by-election? They talked up reform and attempted to push people towards them, because they would rather do that than talk about their own record. Well, I am glad that the good people of Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse sent them both packing and led the way, and I'm confident that Scotland will do the same next year. And that success in Hamilton was down to so many of you in this room, the Labour family coming together to once again deliver change. So, Conference, it's now on us to do that once again, to prove that the Scottish Labour Party are the only party that can deliver the new direction Scotland needs. It's on us to show that we are ambitious for Scotland and ambitious about our future. Because the truth is that Scotland's potential is limitless. Our ambition of our people is unlimited, but it's being held back. The entrepreneur wanting to expand their business being held back by punishing business rates. The worker struggling to earn because they're stuck on an NHS waiting list. And the family saving to buy a home but who've been simply priced out of the market. That's whose side we are on. And we are ready to deliver the new direction they need. So we will take on the noisy minority and deliver for the hard-working majority. We will fix our NHS, clear the backlogs, return to the family doctor and end the ATM rush for a GP. We will improve our schools and close the opportunity gap. We will support our high streets and grow our economy. And we will bring back community policing and deliver safer streets. And we will end the waste and respect your money. Scottish Labour, ambitious for Scotland, ambitious for the future, new ideas, new thinking, new leadership for Scotland. That's what we'll deliver together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Anna, and thanks for your support. Very good. Thank you, Conference. We're now moving over to Wales. Please welcome to the lectern in a minute Joe Stevens, Secretary of State for Wales and MP for Cardiff East. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you, Conference. Thank you, Chair. A year ago, I stood on this stage and addressed you as Labour's first female Secretary of State for Wales in the first Labour government for 14 years. And I spoke about our mission to put Wales at the centre of our decade of national renewal. Wales at the heart of our modern industrial strategy. Wales at the forefront of our green revolution. And Wales leading the way on innovation and technologies of the future. Now, during the past year, we have worked in partnership with our brilliant First Minister, Eluned Morgan, and Labour colleagues in Welsh Government to boost the economy, to improve business confidence, to increase investment, and to create thousands of new jobs right across Wales. And we've done this because Labour is the only party on the side of working people. The only party that is prioritising strengthening our economy, improving living standards, putting more money in the pockets of every household and the rest of the UK and Wales on a path of national renewal. None of what we've achieved together since the election last year would have been possible without the determination, graft and teamwork in Parliament. And I want to pay tribute to Nia Griffith for her time in government. Nia's experience and wisdom has been invaluable to me. And I also want to welcome Anna McMorrin and Claire Hughes to the Wales office, who, alongside my PPS Becky Gittins and our Lord spokesperson Ruth Anderson, are an exceptional team of Labour women delivering for the whole of Wales. But a special and huge thank you to our 27 Welsh Labour MPs, whose tireless campaigning and advocacy for their constituents drives us on every day to go further and faster on the road of national renewal. And as always, I want to recognise the grit, the determination, the leadership and the friendship provided by our First Minister and Welsh Labour leader, Eluned Morgan. Now, the past 14 months have been all about delivery, all about two Labour governments delivering for the people of Wales. Welsh Labour fought hard against the years of Tory austerity, and now this UK Labour government has ended austerity with record budget settlements that provide billions more for Welsh Government to invest in public services. The Tory cost of living supercharged, the crisis supercharged by Liz Truss's economic chaos, caused real hardship for so many households in Wales. We inherited their catastrophic mess last year, and the UK government have been fixing the foundations. That's why we gave up to 160,000 workers in Wales a record pay rise through increases to the national living and minimum wage. It's why the UK and Welsh Labour governments have together started employment schemes in Denbighshire, Neath Port Talbot and Blaenau Gwent to help people back into work, to put money into pockets and to help raise standards of living for those in our communities that need the most help. It's why we've invested over £500 million to secure the future of steelmaking in South Wales, to help steel workers, supply chain businesses and their workers through the transition, but also to support local businesses to find new opportunities to expand and create new jobs. It's why we've established free ports and investment zones in every corner of Wales, driving billions of pounds in direct new investment in advanced manufacturing, floating offshore wind and much, much more, creating new jobs near to where people live in sustainable industries for now and for generations to come. And it's why we've invested nearly £500 million into Welsh Rail, reversing the Tories' historic underinvestment so we can build new stations, we can have more and faster trains that will connect the people of Wales to these new opportunities. And we can already see the impact that our Labour priorities are having in Wales. Unemployment is down. Interest rates have been cut 5 times, bringing down the cost of new family mortgages by about £1,000 a year. Inward investment into Wales has risen 30%. Yes, that's right, 30% in the last year alone. And real terms wages are consistently rising faster than inflation. But conference, I have to give you this big warning. This investment, this tireless focus on improving living standards, creating new jobs and making our public services fit for the future is under threat. Farage has turned up in Wales with patronising politics, with disrespect, division and derision for our communities. Reform UK don't care about Wales. They haven't got any Welsh policies. They haven't got a Welsh leader. They can't even spell Caerphilly right. But as much as we roll our eyes at their condescending, nativist tone, they are a serious threat. They're a threat to our communities, a threat to our NHS, and if you work in Welsh public services, they are a threat to your livelihoods. And the other nationalist bedfellows, Plaid Cymru, demonstrate every day how they're not a serious party and cannot be trusted with the levers of government. Plaid exists only to rip our nation apart, and at a time of global instability and threats to our national security, to rip us out of NATO. Constitutional obsessions backed by fantasy economics. More unfunded spending commitments than a Liz Truss mini-budget. How much would Plaid's disastrous plan for independence cost? Well, conference, I can tell you, because the UK government analysis has found that Plaid's plan for independence would cost Wales over £21 billion each and every year just to maintain the same level of services we have today. That's more than £11,000 for every working age adult in tax rises and austerity cuts every single year. Now, if Plaid really want to be taken seriously, they need to be honest and confirm whether they're going to tax Welsh families into poverty or cut public services to the bone. Labour has ended austerity in Wales, so don't let Reform or Plaid impose it on Wales again. Because conference next May, we know that Wales faces a choice between renewal and decline, and between decency or division. And together as Labour governments, we are setting out the path of renewal towards a fairer, more prosperous Wales, proud of our history and in control of our future. At the moment, the world is and feels uncertain. Global instability is having an impact not just on our safety, but on the cost of our energy, the cost of everyday purchases. And that is why this Labour government has taken the necessary action to prioritise our national security, living costs and people's livelihoods. And our Labour Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has restored the UK's reputation on the world stage. He's delivered trade deals that will lower food costs, reduce burdens on businesses and create jobs. He's invested in our safety and our security. Keir has set the example of strong leadership. Leadership that, unlike Reform or Plaid, demonstrates that this Labour government will never play politics with people's lives. And nothing demonstrates the choice Wales faces next year more clearly than the steps this Labour government have taken in just the last 3 weeks. So, whilst Reform MPs are absent from Parliament, they only turn up really to vote against workers' rights, they're out there apologising for Putin, undermining our country, our businesses and our people to our global partners. Meanwhile, I've been in Caerphilly launching Wales's defence growth deal that will strengthen our armed forces and create new high-skilled jobs in Wales's defence sector. And whilst Plaid championed their plan for independence, just this week we have launched our Pride in Place programme, which will invest over £200 million to revitalise high streets and regenerate communities right across Wales, from Conway to Ceredigion to Caerphilly. That's the choice for Wales at the Senedd election next May. Labour on the side of our people and communities, or those nationalist parties looking to divide and deprive. Only two Labour governments working together can and will keep Farage out of Wales and lead our country on that path of renewal. Conference, that is the election we must fight. That is the election we must win. So let's get out there and do it together. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Joe. Very inspiring. We're now going to see another video, which will then introduce Alunid. Yeah. Somewhere.
With the people of Wales behind us, we will win and build a better future. We're not just fixing what's broke, we're building something better.
That's all right, sit down, sit down. Well, diolch yn fawr, shwmai. Shwmai, that's how we greet each other in Wales. So let's try that again, shwmai. Excellent, diolch yn fawr. I'm Lynette Morgan. If you haven't seen much of me before, get ready, because you're about to see a lot more of me, because we've got one hell of a fight on our hands in the run-up to May's Senedd election. And make no mistake, we are in this together, right across the UK. All of us on the front line, fighting for everything we believe in, everything we've built together. Now, literally, the story of Wales is entwined with the story of Labour. From the coalfields that gave us Bevan and the valleys that raised Kinnock. For more than a century, Labour has been the voice of our nation. Wales built us as a party, and in return, we built Wales. But let's be brutally honest. The polls are not looking good. People are angry. They're disillusioned. Our voice, the voice that's always fought for them, is getting drowned out by the carnival of charlatans and the circus of snake oil salesmen. Now, Reform blames foreigners. Plaid blame Westminster. Divisive nationalism in different forms. Different poison, same bottle. All with answers that sound brilliant until you ask how. They can't tell you, but I can. Because unlike the merchants of false promises, unlike the peddlers of easy answers, Welsh Labour doesn't just talk, we deliver. Using the powers of devolution to build a nation that doesn't just reflect our values, but fights for them every single day through what we call the Red Welsh Way. Now, three principles underpin everything we do: equality, security, community. We're the only part of the UK with a social partnership enshrined in law, the only one protecting future generations in law, the only nation giving every primary school child a free school meal, and the only government to stop profiteering in children's care homes, giving free prescriptions for all, free bus passes for older people, and the only government guaranteeing the real living wage for care workers. That, my friends, is socialism in action. And while we've been delivering what's Plaid's record, promises without plans, ambition without answers, easy words on independence, but when they had the chance to support our communities with extra cash, they voted with the Tories to block it. Mae brwydr anferth o'n blaenau ni yn etholiadau'r Senedd. Mae cysylltiad dwfn rhwng ein plaid ni a'n gwlad yn un sydd wedi bodoli ers canrif. Mae newid bywydau yn rhan o beth yn ei wneud, ac mae hwn i gyd o dan fygythiad os na fyddwn ni yn ennill y flwyddyn nesaf. You can give me a clap for that bit. Now, we know that tomorrow's Wales won't be built on yesterday's achievements. Our high streets matter. I've heard it directly from people in Caerphilly, where we're facing a crucial by-election. And if we want them to thrive, we have to protect them. And that's why we'll build on the UK government's announcements and introduce new licensing powers to curb the spread of vape shops, keeping our town centres safe, balanced and welcoming. Our high streets thrive when local jobs thrive. And in Wales, we are committed to fair work. And in the next Senedd term, any business seeking Welsh Government support will need to pay the real living wage, end exploitative zero-hours contracts, and open a door to trade unions. Because public money must mean public good. And we're making it easier to get to work, but also to socialise. We've spent £800 million on new trains and created a modern South Wales metro. And from December, new late-night services will run from Cardiff to the valleys, and we're doubling trains on the Wrexham to Chester line. Now, Conference, when Labour governs in Cardiff and Westminster, partnership delivers, not in theory, but in practice, backed by the biggest financial settlement in the history of devolution. So because of that, we now have safer coal tips, higher wages for Welsh workers, and 2.7 million NHS appointments delivered every month in a population of 3 million people. But our work is far from done. People need us to move faster, hit harder, deliver bigger. But without the powers and the money to fully match our ambition, it'll be much more difficult. And that's why Wales needs powers over youth justice, so our communities can shape solution, fair rail funding, and yes, control over our natural wealth, our wind, our seas, our energies, because we'll always stand up for our people and for fairer, more equal devolution. We stood firm under the Tories, and we stand firm as Welsh Labour today. Because it's our membership card that says it's best. Country first. So we'll never stop pressing for every power, every pound that Wales deserves. But while we're building the future, others are busy polishing their wrecking ball. Reforms plans? Gut the NHS. Flog and frack everything that moves. Turn Wales into their testing ground for an ideology that puts profits before people. To them, our health service isn't a lifeline, it's a profit line. A business opportunity waiting to be carved up. We've seen this play before in Wales. Nigel Farage's UKIP party elected 7 members in 2016, and by the end of the term, 6 of them had left, drawn by infighting, broken promises, and internal chaos. And just this week, their former Welsh leader admitted taking Russian bribes. And right now, they're attacking our support for Ukrainian refugees. This lot are putting Wales first. They're not putting Wales first, they're putting Putin first. Now, Wales doesn't need fantasy politics. Mark my words. Wales will fall into chaos if either Plaid or Reform wins in May. What we need is experience and stability in an age of instability, and that's what Welsh Labour can offer. So, Conference, are we going to stand here and let vultures tear the heart out of all we've built? No. Welsh Labour is ready to stand up, but we need our entire movement behind us, because the result of May's contest will resonate through all our communities. So wherever you're from, stand with us. Let's build, not break. Let's show them Labour never gives up, never gives in. So are you up for the fight? Yeah. Then bring it on.
Well, just like to thank her, Leonard, for that. That was inspiring, I think. Got you all going. Very good. So much so I'm having to go and rest now. We're changing the chair for the next session. We'll be covering the Treasurer's report and the constitutional amendments. So I'd like to welcome, looks round his shoulder, Abdi Doual. Is Abdi here? To chair the next session. Of course he is. On cue. Thank you, Abdi. And thanks, conference, for your patience.
Nearly tripped over there. Right, let's get some water going. Good afternoon, conference. I hope people aren't leaving because I'm starting to chair. But anyway, good afternoon, conference. Hope you're all right. We're now going to welcome to the lectern the Labour Party Treasurer, Mike Payne.
Diolch, Chair. Prynawn da pawb. Conference, I'm Mike Payne and I'm proud to be your party Treasurer and to present the audited accounts for 2024, which begin on page 46 of the conference report. I'm extremely proud to have been able to serve as an active trade unionist for nearly 5 decades. I know it doesn't show, this is where you're supposed to say it doesn't show. And as an officer of the GMB for over 30 years. Standing shoulder to shoulder with working people in their struggles and in their victories. And conference, what I've learned in that time is a simple but true. The real tools we have to deliver lasting change don't just come from our values or our words, but from how we choose to organise, how we resource, and how we sustain our campaigns to deliver policies for people across the whole of the UK. Policies like the Employment Rights Act. When we invest properly in the fights that matter to our members and to our communities, we give ourselves the strength and organisation to win. That is how we turn solidarity into action and action into the results that matter most to working people. We also know that for our party to be strong electorally, it must be strong in its foundations. That means resilient, sustainable finances, the kind of financial health that allows us to fight for what we believe, to grow and to win for all people across the UK. In the last year, we have taken important steps to stabilise our party's finances. After a crucial election year, to protect our vital limited resources and to ensure that every pound raised is spent in such a way that it delivers maximum value for the party. As you walk around this conference centre this week, I wanted to thank the team who have worked so tirelessly to put together the biggest conference that Labour has ever held, and also to take time to talk to the stall holders that are here and have donated this week. I'm pleased to advise conference that we now have a completely revitalised finance team, with a new Chief Finance Officer, Debbie Giwa, the first female CFO in our party's history. Croeso, Debbie, welcome. In addition, we've appointed 2 new heads of service, and this team has hit the ground running and are already embedding modern checks and balances into our management processes. But this is not just about processes or spreadsheets. It is about accountability, it's about trust, and it's about building a party that is truly match fit for the challenges ahead. As your party treasurer, I'm working hand in hand with the General Secretary and our finance team to help drive a change in financial culture right across the organisation to make sure we're ready to win, win and win again. A culture where every level, from the General Secretary, political leaders, NEC members and staff, work together and are collectively accountable for the income for which our party depends. Because conference, good financial management is not just about how we raise money, but how we spend it too. Having the discipline to ask whether every pound is being put to its best use is not just a principle for the lean times, it must be the way we do our business at all times. Conference, I can advise you that we've just completed the most extensive audit process that I've known since I've been party treasurer, which has thrown up suggestions for our improvement
and I can tell you that we will be taking on board all of those recommendations, and indeed I can advise Conference that the new team have already begun to implement a number of those changes and will continue to work over the coming months to strengthen our management financial processes further. When I became party treasurer, I promised you that I would ensure the importance of living within our means, whilst also ensuring that financial discipline never comes at the expense of our core mission, which is campaigning and winning elections. No longer will finances be something distant or detached. Financial resilience, stability and sustainability are the responsibility of us all. That is what collective responsibility and transparency looks like. Conference, we should be really proud of the progress we've made and the progress we are still going to make. You will see, Conference, in the 2024 published accounts that we have a reported deficit of 3.7 million for 2024, which is above the planned deficit of 2 million. However, it is important to remember that to have achieved our landslide victory on the 4th of July last year, we had to invest in extra staff, we had to invest in hardware, software, and as Holly said earlier, in the digital campaigning to put us in the best possible position to win. Conference, we won because of the commitment and support of you, our members, our trade unions, our socialist societies, and the donors. As a result, the Labour Party not only outspent the Tories for the first time ever, but we also outspent all the 16 parties listed by the Electoral Commission combined. To put it another way, the combined income of those 16 parties was almost identical to Labour's income alone, with a difference of only £130,000. That is a sign of our combined strength and what we can achieve when we work together. But we must also be candid. There is still important work ahead. To secure a truly stable financial footing, my commitment to provide financial stability and long-term resilience is unwavering. This is not simply about managing today's balance sheet. It is about ensuring that in the short, medium and long term, we as a party are prepared for the challenges that lie before us. And we must be ready to meet those challenges, comrades. That is why the year ahead is so important. Conferences is our first full year operating without short money and Cranbourne monies. For those that don't know, that is the money that is given to opposition parties to sustain their organisation whilst in opposition. As a result of this loss of income, which equates to over 7 million, we are having to adapt to the challenges of fluctuating income. We mustn't be complacent, but this isn't an uncommon trend for a party transitioning from opposition into government. What matters now most of all is how we respond. We must plan ahead, tightening up where we must and investing where it counts. We are making sure that these fluctuations do not weaken our ability to campaign, preferring instead to sharpen our focus and control our expenditure. Let me be crystal clear. The General Secretary and I are absolutely as one in our endeavour to build financial resilience within this party. Because this is not just about numbers. It's about our ability to win campaigns, to grow and win elections, and to deliver for ordinary working people. Together, let us keep building a party that is accountable, resilient, stable, and unshakable. Because when our finances are strong, Conference, our campaigns are strong. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch, Mike, and to you and the party staff as well, and the finance team, who've been doing amazing work in some challenging circumstances. Conference, we will now move on to the constitutional amendments. We have constitutional amendments from CLPs as well as from the NEC. To move the NEC constitutional amendments, I'm going to invite Maggie Ferncombe to the stage.
Thank you very much, Chair. Maggie Ferncombe, Vice Chair of the Organisational Subcommittee on the NEC. Conference today, we're debating a range of rule changes proposed by both the NEC and CLPs. In line with precedent at previous conferences and in order to assist with the smooth process of balloting, the NEC has agreed to group together packages of rule changes into groups. Each of the groups is subject to a card vote, and each CLP rule change will also be subject to an individual card vote. The NEC recommends that Conference votes for the following NEC rule changes. Card vote 1 on administrative and language updates. This package updates the language of the rulebook and includes more clarity around membership subscriptions and candidate contracts, as well as tidying up some language made redundant due to rule changes passed at previous conferences. The language changes also reflect the changing nature of local and regional government to better include our fantastic directly elected mayors in our local government structures. Card vote 2 is on safeguarding. This package of changes updates our disciplinary processes to ensure that serious criminal offences discharged out of court by police caution can now be considered as part of our disciplinary processes. It also introduces safeguards for members under the age of 18 by ensuring that they can continue to play a full role in their local parties, but restricting those roles with statutory legal responsibilities or where their personal details could be made available to hundreds of members. Card vote 3 is CLP updates. These amendments update our rules for CLPs to reflect the incredible success of the 24 general election, to make it easier for MPs to report back to their members on their work as an MP. It also makes changes that reflect the practices in lots of CLPs who alternate between EC meetings and members' meetings each month, and brings the rule on rescinding resolutions in line with these changes. Card vote 4 is on regional governance and representation. Card vote 4 proposes a number of changes, including ensuring that our elected local government colleagues can play a full part in our regional conferences by attending with speaking rights, and returns the election of the regional executive officers to being elected by their REC colleagues. The changes also update the procedures for the MPF so that regional representatives are elected by the democratically elected CLP delegates in this hall, saving the party thousands of pounds in administrative costs. Finally, these changes give greater flexibility to our regional, Welsh and Scottish offices to establish young Labour branches across our regions and nations. And the last group of NEC rule amendments is Labour in local government, card vote 5. This final NEC card vote groups together several changes to Labour in local government, updating the procedures for payments of local government levies, and also making further amendments that will ensure our groups can better deal with sensitive council and group matters in a confidential environment. Conference, I'll now just go on to speak on the CLP card votes, and the NEC is recommending that you vote against the following amendments. Card vote 6 from Bracknell CLP. This amendment would stop elected representatives on regional and national bodies and all Labour Party staff from standing for public office. Every year, many elected representatives and staff stand for local councils, often in areas where it's really hard for Labour to win, but we want to ensure as many voters as possible have the chance to support a Labour candidate. Our NEC and regional executive committees also have specific places allocated to parliamentary and local government representatives, and this change would block them from continuing these roles while seeking reselection as councillors, breaking that vital link between our elected reps and our party structures. And finally, it would undermine the freedom of our trade unions and affiliates to choose the officials they wish to appoint to our NEC and other bodies, something we believe they should be able to continue to do so in line with their own processes. Card vote 7 is Lewis CLP. This rule change would remove the party's ability to set logical timetables for selections of candidates at parliamentary level, allowing parliamentary selections to take place at any time, irrespective of any other party priorities. This change would place significant burden on our hard-working party staff who are often working on by-elections, crucial local elections and events such as this conference, forcing priorities have to be amended. And card vote 8 from Leighton and Wanstead, that rule amendment has been withdrawn. Finally, as a reminder, the NEC is recommending that you vote for the card votes 1 to 5 and against the CLP card votes 6 and 7. Conference, I move the constitutional amendments submitted by the NEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. I will now invite the CLPs to move their constitutional amendments. I just want to alert delegates that as Maggie just said, one constitutional amendment has been withdrawn, which is card vote 8. Does a delegate from Bracknell and Lewis CLPs wish to move their amendment? Okay. I can't see a delegate with... Oh, okay, yes. If you could go to the desk just at the front, please, just so you can get your name up. How many minutes do they have? 3 minutes. Thank you, Delegate. You have 3 minutes when you get onto the stage.
Hello, Conference. I'm James from Bracknell, Berkshire, and this is my first time speaking at Conference. Our amendment today is about selections for Labour candidates, which is vote 6. I know how much work all of you in this room do supporting your local Labour candidates and how important it is to build a campaign around them, which takes time. Late impositions of candidates can disrupt this and remove members' say in who they are campaigning for. This is why the selections for Labour candidates need to be more democratic and we should end NEC impositions of candidates. Local party members should select their candidates for every election. These are not my words, but those of Sir Keir back in February 2020. Selecting candidates earlier can help avoid impositions and allowing them to spearhead their local campaign. However, circumstances can change and impositions can still happen. It's not only important that candidate selections are fair and democratic, but also that they are seen as such. Therefore, Bracknell believes that introducing constitutional checks is important, so that sitting members of the body that sets the rules on impositions are not put in a situation where they could be accused of gaining advantage by that position. While we note the NEC's comments on the effects of this change on paper candidates and staff potentially being over-inclusive, which we admit was not the original intent of this motion, by resigning their position first, it would ensure that if members of the NEC or their staff were to then be selected as candidates, they could not be accused of gaining an unfair advantage. Further, this would send a message encouraging proactivism around avoiding impositions where possible. We believe this will help future campaigns for a Labour government, which we all know can make such a difference. I thus commend you to vote for this amendment at card vote 6 today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. We'll take the delegate from Lewis. Can we take the delegate? Delegate, you also have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I'm really pleased to move this amendment from Lewis CLP. It's actually one of the most beautiful parts of the country. It's set on the South Downs with spectacular views of the Downs, the cliffs and the English Channel. In fact, there's only one thing wrong with it. We don't have a Labour MP. We do have a very enthusiastic band of members. Only this weekend, for a town council by-election in Newhaven, we've got a dozen people out, and it would have been 2 more if we weren't both here at conference. We want to be able to select a prospective parliamentary candidate early and to be out there bringing our message to voters in the area. We know we've got a really steep hill to climb, but that's why we want to start early. We want to elect our candidate, get them known in the area, campaign with them to get our really excellent messages across. And gradually we can build support. But inevitably, we will be twinned with a target seat, and so we will be expected to go to a different area to be campaigning there. But the big advantage is, if we have done all that work, knocking on doors, talking to people in our local area, not only have we built the enthusiasm of our members, but we've actually built experience. We've got new people on board. We can arrive at wherever we're sent. We can be knocking on doorsteps in that area with an experienced band of canvassers who have learnt, perhaps the hard way, in some of the hardest areas, of just how to get our message across. We know the NEC is not supporting this on this occasion, but we really would ask them to reconsider, because as far as we can see, there's nothing to lose in this amendment, but there's certainly everything to gain. So we really would ask you to support this amendment. We'd ask the NEC to reconsider, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Can that be formally seconded so we have more time to debate? Just from the floor. Perfect, thank you. So, colleagues, I understand many delegates will have varying views on those amendments and the NEC amendments that we're proposing. So there will be time for speakers in a moment, but with a lot to get through, I want to make sure that these CLP constitutional amendments are formally moved and seconded, so that everyone gets an equal chance to make sure their priority issues are considered. So thank you, Conference. I will now take some speakers on constitutional amendments. It would be helpful if you could clearly state. You can go, okay, we can go to the front desk and they'll tell me whether or not there is a point of order. So I'll now take speakers on constitutional amendments. It would be very helpful if you could clearly state which constitutional amendment you are speaking about, and I will take speakers in threes. Shall I wait for that first? No. Okay. If you could clearly indicate, please, if you are wanting to speak. I see a delegate there, in the red top. I see a delegate there, in the white top. I see a delegate there. I can't see what you're wearing, but there's only one delegate indicating. So yeah, delegate over there. Yeah. Thank you. Please go to the front desk just to register with the staff. Should we let him have his point of order then? Thank you. I'll take the first delegate. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Russell from Leicester, speaking against card vote 6. It can be incredibly difficult ensuring that every resident in every part of the country has a Labour candidate to vote for. In some parts, we're fighting one another to be able to stand, but in others, it is incredibly tough. There are people who don't want to stand as paper candidates, and it is wrong for us to not, as a party, be making sure that in every single election we are standing candidates. It shouldn't matter if they already have a place on the NEC or a regional board or a councillors or anything else. Actually, we need people to be able to vote for Labour representatives wherever they are, so vote against card 6.
Thank you, Delegate. I'll take the second delegate now. Please do state which constitutional amendment you are speaking on as well, please.
Hi, I'm Samuel Barnes of North Somerset CLP, and I'm here to speak against proposed rule changes for the election of MPF and the related amendments to go with that. My main opposition to these changes are the fact it will further the distance between members and members of the MPF and our policy-making programmes, and the fact that young members, especially, will see themselves disenfranchised when it comes to MPF elections, given the fact that the proposed changes will mean that only young member delegates will be able to vote for that position. Now, I was at my delegate briefing, and the number of young people in that room was perhaps not too many. We would be voting, maybe up to 10 of us, on who will represent young members on the MPF in the South West region. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's democratic. As such, I will be opposing the changes to MPF, which will make our party less democratic. Our party chair today stood in front of us and told us about the great thing about our party, which is the fact that we have a democratic right to decide how policy is decided within this party. And we will today, if we vote for these changes, be losing that. So I urge conference today to oppose any rule changes to the election of MPF. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take the third speaker.
I am Councillor Rebecca Baker of Darlington Labour Group. I'm a first-time delegate and first-time speaker. Thank you. I'm in support of card vote 5. I'm pleased to say that we are the largest party in Darlington Local Authority and we hold power. Being elected into local government means our residents have put their trust in us to represent them. Our Labour group discusses the biggest issues and the most sensitive issues facing our community. We examine the evidence and the budget, we debate and challenge each other to reach united decisions to best meet the needs of our residents, and these meetings should be held in private. I am pleased that our CLP and LGC choose to not observe these meetings. Our local government is held accountable by local party members at CLP meetings, and our residents hold us to account at public meetings and in the ballot box. So I'll ask conference to vote for card 5 of the NEC rule changes. Thank you, conference.
Thank you, Delegate. I'll take another round of speakers as well. I see that delegate there. I'll take that delegate there. I think of the red. I'll take that delegate there. I think you've got a white lanyard. Yes. There you go. That, yeah, perfect. If you can come to the front and give your name in, please. And if you could, when you do speak, please do let us know which constitutional amendment you are speaking on. And if you're a first-time speaker as well, you'll get a clap from the floor. So do tell us that as well.
Conference, I'm Councillor Esther Barrett from Crawley CLP. I'm a first-time delegate and first-time speaker. I'm speaking against card vote 6. It's often incredibly difficult to find people to stand as paper candidates in elections. We shouldn't be preventing people from doing that just because they serve on committees. Our small CLPs need as many options as they can get. We have MPs and councillors who serve on committees from across the UK. Forcing them to stand down every time they're up for re-election risks us losing valuable knowledge and experience. Lots of our NEC, REC and staff members represent their communities as local councillors. And as a party of trade unionists, we shouldn't be forcing people to choose between their local residents and their jobs or other positions. Thank you.
Delegate. Can we take the next speaker, please?
Good afternoon, Conference. I am Councillor Karen Shaw. I'm a CLP delegate here today, but I was also the parliamentary candidate for Runcorn and Helsby and currently sit as an REC member for the Cheshire CLPs. So first of all, I'd like to associate myself with some of the comments that have been made already about how difficult it is to find candidates to stand for election in CLPs. And we know that all of the jobs are usually dished out amongst a small number of people. And the second point I want to make is that we have lots of MPs and councillors who serve on committees. And what are committees there for? Well, certainly the Regional Executive Committee is there to help people campaign and win elections. We are there to get as many Labour representatives into public office as we possibly can. And what do we need to do that? We need knowledge, we need skills, we need expertise. And that's why I am against, I'm afraid, the Bracknell amendment, because it will mean that we will lose far too much knowledge, skills and experience, which is absolutely invaluable for training new activists to get people elected and over the line. And finally, we've got lots of staff members as well who sit on these committees, and they might be a local councillor. And we're trade unionists. Why on earth would we want to make our members choose between their jobs and their communities just because they're serving on a committee? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Conference. My name is Sarah Feeney. I'm actually a first-time speaker at Labour Party conference. I'm also a delegate for Rugby CLP, and I'm speaking to you today to encourage you to vote against Rule Change 6. Conference, I suppose for my sins, I also address you as the LGC Secretary for our borough group, someone who relies on our volunteers' free time to conduct local government interviews and appeals. And I know there are plenty of people in this room who've done appeals and interviews for me and have spent hundreds of hours doing such things. So I'm sure we can all agree that the Labour Party wants the very highest calibre of candidates and councillors to carry us through our elections into the next general election. And it shouldn't be, as the previous speaker said, that we exclude members by the virtue of other positions they may hold within our party. The regional board allows us to keep the integrity in our selection processes, and there are mechanisms in place to stop any conflicts of interests. So I say to you, we ought to be grateful and applaud all of those volunteers who diligently conduct our interviews for us, who also serve in our committees and on our boards. And I'll be honest with you, if they want to stand for council, we really should be encouraging them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. I'm feeling generous, and we're running we're running quite early, so I'm going to take one more round, one final round. I'll start on that. See that delegate there? I see the delegate there. Right at the back. Right at the back. Yep. You? Yeah. I see that delegate over there. Yep. You? Yeah. You? Yeah, you. Got them at the end. I'll take you as well. I'm going to break my rule and take 4.
Good afternoon, conference. Welcome to a historic next 2 minutes. This is the last time you will ever hear, if the rule change goes through, which I support, from a chair of the Association of Labour Councillors. My name's Vince Maple, and I've been very proud to hold that role for the last 2 years. But the thing is, thank you for that 2 claps over there. Thank you. The reality is our rule book needs to catch up with the legislation that our government is putting through at the moment. Really important legislation. We heard this morning about passing powers down to communities, working collaboratively and collectively. Think about that. Think about the fact that we've now got local representatives working hard for their communities every single day, more than 6,000 Labour councillors, but working alongside our friends and colleagues in regional government as well. And having that collective strong voice within the Labour Party, I think, is really important. Because we've got to remember, we're at the start of the journey of renewal, because we are working with a situation where, as many of you will remember, just a few miles up the road from me in Medway, the former Prime Minister was boasting about the fact of taking money away from deprived urban areas. That's the backdrop we've got to where we are today. So the change you see in front of us is an important one. I think there's still work in progress on acronyms. I don't think it should be councillor and regional government, local McFace. Let's not go down there. We've tried that one too many times with people, I think. So we'll be working on that, but the spirit of working collaboratively in all parts of local and regional government is critical. So really pleased to support this, urge colleagues to support this, and it means that we're ready as a party with our rule book and structures to mirror the brilliant legislation we're passing through under our new Labour government. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Vince, as well. Thank you. I'll take the next speaker.
Good afternoon, conference. I'm Councillor Tirath Dat, representing Sandwell. First-time speaker. Thank you. So in Sandwell we have, wait for it, 63 Labour councillors. As I'm sure you can imagine, group meetings can sometimes be quite fraught. As we're making very difficult decisions impacting our residents' lives. And that's why, conference, I'm speaking in favour of Card Vote 5. Conference, my colleagues and I are doing the hard yards in our communities, often dealing with and debating very sensitive issues. We should be able to do so as the Labour group in a safe space where there can be robust debate and councillors can voice their opinions ahead of important full council meetings. Conference, this is not about accountability. One of my favourite things about being a Labour Party councillor is liaising with the members I represent. I enjoy keeping them up to date on things. Regardless of today's vote, I will continue to do so through CLP reports, direct conversations, and of course through the branch. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate.
Conference. My name's Lenny Rolls. I'm a councillor in Gravesham. I also stood as the candidate in the Weald of Kent and the Kent Police and Crime Commissioner elections, but this is my first time speaking to conference. Today I'm speaking against card vote 6. The reason for this is that I, like many of us in the room, have been out alongside our hard-working Labour staff. They work alongside us day in, day out, as do the NEC, and I think to prevent them from standing as councillors or any elected position is absolutely wrong. As chair of Gravesham CLP, we struggle to field candidates for specific positions across the whole of our borough. We rely on candidates coming from all backgrounds, from many diverse backgrounds, from all parts of the community, and that includes those that work for the party and work on our NEC. We shouldn't be preventing anyone from standing that is a part of our Labour movement. Conference, I urge you to vote against card vote 6 because it's vital that we support our hard-working staff and those around us to make sure that we can field candidates across the country so that everyone has an opportunity to vote for the Labour Party. Thank you very much, Conference, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate.
Hello, good afternoon, Conference. My name is Victoria Bamishile and I'm one of the councillors for Milton Keynes. I'm representing Milton Keynes North. Thank you very much. It is my first time speaking and it is also my first time as a delegate. Friends, I'm here to support the NEC rule changes, especially the safeguarding improvements. Since the EHRC report in 2020, our disciplinary processes have improved, making our party safer and more accountable. But we must keep going. These updates will allow us to remove individuals who've committed serious offences but only received a police caution. It's a small but vital step. So please support the NEC changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Conference. David Landon Cole, Huntingdon CLP. I want to speak against card vote 7, which is the one that would give CLPs that receive less than 20% of the vote at the last general election the right to request a timetable and so on. I've lived in CLPs where that would come into play. I completely get the desire behind that. We all want candidates selected earlier. This isn't the way to do it. The party is having to orchestrate 600 and some dancers in a complicated ballet. Running a selection uses staff time, which has to be managed, and it doesn't take any account of what is going on nationally. As written, a CLP could ask the day after a general election to start selecting its candidate for a general election in 5 years' time. That automaticity that's in the text as we've got it is just a recipe for causing problems and actually slowing down the process of selecting candidates by adding more work onto officers. Thanks very much.
Thank you, delegates. We'll take one more round and then move on to summarising this debate. So can I see a hand? See delegate in the corner there. Sorry, you're shouting at me and you're standing up, so it's a no from me. Sad. I see a delegate there. Yep, yep. And I see a delegate over there. Yep. Yes, you. There we are. Sorry?
Lady in red. She's questioning whether you've called.
Which one? I can't say. No, they didn't. I only picked 3. Thank you again. If you could come to the front and give your details to the desk, please. Thank you. Over to you, Delegate.
Brilliant. Councillor Jessica Smith, East Hall CLP, many-time delegate but first-time speaker. And I'm speaking against card vote 6. I'll first declare that I'm proud to be a Labour councillor and I'm proud to serve on the Yorkshire and Humber Regional Executive Committee. This amendment unfairly penalises the very people who give the most to our party. Members of our regional and national committees are not careerists, they're activists elected by their peers because of their commitment, knowledge and integrity. And these qualities are exactly what we should want in candidates for public office. This rule would force them to resign before even applying, creating a risk that they'd lose their internal voice without even gaining the chance to stand. That is not equality of opportunity, it is a barrier to participation. We already have checks and balances to ensure fairness in selections. If influence is the concern, let us strengthen transparency, not block talented members from putting themselves forward. Our party should open doors, not close them. I urge you to reject this rule change. Thank you.
Delegate.
Hello, Conference. I'm Stephen Mullard-Toll. I'm the delegate for Harlow. First-time speaker, first-time delegates. I am speaking in favour of rule change 5. Our Labour groups need to be a place for frank and open discussions. And trust me, as a Labour councillor, in my Labour group, I have had frank and serious discussions. We need to give them the space to have these in private and have their disagreements in private, so when they come out in public, they are a united force. Our councillors are the backbone of this movement. They are at the coalface every single day for our communities, making decisions that affect the people that elected them. Please vote in favour of rule change 5 so you can give them the space to carry on doing the jobs that they were selected and elected to do. Thank you, Conference.
Thank you. I'm Councillor Rebecca Everett from Erewash, and I am urging people to vote against card vote number 7. Before and over the general election, I worked closely with my MP, Adam Thompson, for Erewash, and know that from being a parliamentary candidate is an incredible amount of work, and at times can be almost or equivalent to a full-time job. This is a huge commitment for anyone, and 3 years is a heavy time commitment. The amendment would increase pressure for those who cannot commit for that long, and that will create a huge disadvantage for women and people who are have caring responsibilities. I want the Labour Party to ensure that people from underrepresented communities continue to be represented in Parliament, and that means more flexible timeline for candidates. 3 years is just too long. A sensible timeframe for candidates is incredibly important to ensure that priorities such as local elections are achieved at the correct times. So I urge delegates to vote against this amendment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Conference. My name's Julie McManus and I'm Deputy Leader of Wirral Council, just over the water. So I just want to associate myself with the Justice for the 97 campaign, and what a great way to start campaign off this year. I'm here to speak in favour of the NEC rule changes, in particular card vote 5. And those in relation to Labour in local government. As a councillor, I'm able to speak to you as an ex officio attendee of annual conference, and I'm delighted that our rules are finally being brought up to date so that we can do the same at regional conference too, where the voices of Labour in local and regional government should be heard. Labour councillors are often on the front line of our party, dealing with residents day in and day out and standing up for our values in local communities. Current and former councillors will know that we often deal with incredibly confidential matters, and these changes give us the support we need to do so in a safe and sensitive space, whilst ensuring we can continue to keep members up to date on our work. Please vote for the NEC rule changes.
Okay, I'm going to take one more round. I keep saying one more round of speeches, but no, it's not really one more round, is it? I'll take the delegate over here, take the delegate over there, and I'll take the delegate over there as well. Yeah. Got 15 more rounds of speakers.
Thank you, conference. Not my first time here, but hoping for another great conference, as I remember. I'm here to speak against card vote number 5, specifically regarding the removal of group observers. Now, in my relatively short time in the Labour Party compared to many people in this room of only 6 years, the local group observers, for many young people who have aspired to become councillors, that has been their first interaction with how council and Labour groups operate in local authorities. It's shown them how that works. It's given them a taste of what it's like being a councillor. And that kind of access is so important. If the doorstep is where young activists first get engaged with the Labour Party, then group observers and observers to local authorities is where Labour councillors and young Labour activists first get a taste for what it is to be a councillor. So I implore conference to please vote against this motion. There are plenty of changes in here that make sense, but that alone means I cannot support it.
Thank you, Delegate.
Hi, I'm Hope, first-time speaker, third-time delegate. And I want to encourage conference very strongly to vote against card 6. In the last few years, I've travelled all around the country to various campaign days, and I've been supported by the amazing Labour staff. They've tirelessly driven us everywhere. They've provided us cake, coffee, and invaluable knowledge. To stop people from running for office, especially in smaller wards and CLPs, especially those with amazing and invaluable knowledge, is just not what our party should stand for. We should be encouraging people, no matter who they are, especially those knowledgeable, to run for office. So, if somebody wants to run, especially if they are qualified, why stop them? Therefore, I encourage Labour Conference to open doors, especially to these people. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, conference. My name is Corinne Mail. I'm a councillor for Hartlepool and delegate for that conference. It's not just, I'm here to ask you to vote against card vote 5 as a councillor who came to understand how the council work in Hartlepool was working through having been an observer. So it's not just the young ones, but it's that continuity. People who are observers come in, see how the council works, and observe the same confidentiality rules as councillors. When I was an observer, I did not speak about the work outside that meeting. It's expected. We are part of the same party, and we are part of the same group, and we support each other. But you will not get that continuity of experience if you ban people from coming into those discussions before they've actually been elected, and you won't get people standing for election either. It's not just for Parliament that we need to find more candidates. In council as well. I didn't want to be a councillor because I knew how much hard work it was going to be. But it was being as an observer made me realise that how dedicated our group were and how I wanted to be part of what they were doing. And you need to get more people to stand. I stood because there was that need. We won't get them if we bar everyone who's not already in the group from finding out what the group's doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I'll take another round of speakers. It's been a lively debate, come on. Please, you can indicate I would... I can't see anyone with a hand up. I can see Delegate there. I see Delegate there. Right back. Yeah. I didn't know if that was a heckle or a cheer. And the Delegate over there. Yeah. There we go.
Good afternoon, Conference. I'm living proof that perseverance wins. I'm Angela Duerden, speaking on behalf of Unite the Union, opposing the NEC Constitutional Amendments Group 4 on regional governance and representation. Conference, our party must be a democratic party. Our policy processes must be democratic. Our members must be allowed to be involved and participate in the debates and ideas that we all stand for. If this amendment goes through, CLP delegates on the National Policy Forum will only be elected by delegates at the National Conference. Why is this a problem? Because it undermines the fundamental principle of one member, one vote. Members from small CLPs will lose out. Not all CLPs can afford to send delegates to conference. Not all members can get time off work. And not all members have the financial support to be able to travel to Liverpool and be with us today. Conference, our membership is our party. It's our members up and down the country that are canvassing in their communities. It's they who are on the doorsteps, talking to their neighbours and talking to colleagues in the workplaces. They must not be excluded from the chance to shape the policies of our party and the platforms that we campaign on. Rather than taking their voices away, we should be looking for ways to help members participate more, not limiting them. I urge you, let each member do their part. Allow each member their vote. Conference, please oppose this motion, this amendment.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Delegate.
Solomon Cuthbertson, Edinburgh Central CLP and Chair of Scottish Labour. I'm asking you to vote against card vote 6. I'm doing this for two reasons. Firstly, we are a party that loves three-letter acronym committees. We have many committees that sit regionally and nationally, and some of the most committed members of our party, with the most experience of our party, stand to be on those committees and contribute to them. We shouldn't be punishing people who are putting spare time into this party and into the Labour movement by stopping them from serving their communities. The thing I did notice was that comma placement is quite important, and I believe the wording of this amendment would mean that members of the National Policy Forum, Young Labour and Labour Students' committees, some of the other party units that have national and regional committees wouldn't be able to stand in selections. And I'm not sure how many of you in the room will be a member of one of these regional national committees, but there are lots and lots of people. So it's stopping some of the people who put the most effort into our party in their spare time from standing for these positions. So I'd ask you to vote against card vote 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate.
Councillor Carl Wilson, North East Links Council in Yorkshire and Humber. I am imploring conference to vote against card number 5. As a councillor in our area, we didn't do very well one year, and we went down to just a few councillors. The observers, some of those was ex-councillors and guided the more inexperienced councillors along the road, and taking that away, as well as what we've heard tonight from other members about young people and people that may want to stand, is a really good reason to actually vote against this. We need continuity, and we need to be in our Labour community. We need, them observers need to go out and tell their branches what's happened, advertise. We've heard in other speeches how we've got to sell ourselves. Well, actually, those observers can help us do that within the Council and Labour group. And regarding the confidentiality, I'm absolutely horrified that people think that our brothers and sisters don't keep the confidentiality in those meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Conference. We will wrap up speeches there, so we will now move on to Peter. Peter, would you like to summarise those on behalf of the NEC?
Thank you very much, Chair. Peter Mason, National Executive Committee, responding to the debate. So on card vote 1, administrative languages and updates, as Conference has heard, it's a very straightforward set of amendments to languages that we would urge you to support. On card vote 2, certainly we've heard from a delegate on the floor the importance of ensuring that we are taking our safeguarding duties incredibly seriously as a party, and ensuring that we regularise the situation that enables us to take action in circumstances where individuals have received police cautions, currently which we're not able to do under the rules, despite the return of our ability to deal with criminal convictions. Card vote 3, and therefore on card vote 2, sorry, I should say that we urge Conference to vote in favour of card vote 2. On card vote 3, on updates to CLPs, again, no debate on Conference floor, so we would encourage Conference to vote in favour of card vote 3. On card vote 4, regional governance and representation, to offer some reassurance to the delegate on the MPF and voting for youth delegates for MPF, Conference will note the updated language in the COC report that makes clear that in future we are anticipating that all delegates under the age of 27 have the ability at Conference to vote for youth delegates to the National Policy Forum. We understand the points raised in relation to the election process for the National Policy Forum. I think we have seen over the last certainly few years diminishing participation in the MPF OMOD ballots. And it's worth remembering, Conference, that you are sovereign, that Conference is the sovereign body of the Labour Party. And indeed, you already, through the process of voting for the CAC, the NCC and certain divisions of the NEC have the responsibility of electing delegates onto other democratic elements of the party. On card vote 5, Labour in local government, we've certainly heard some debate over observers. I would say, looking out to some of my wonderful group, the London Borough of Ealing, that I'm so proud and privileged to be able to lead, it is absolutely the expectation of every member of every Labour group right across the country to be feeding back to their CLPs and ensuring that all parts of the Labour movement within your localities understand the priorities and the delivery of Labour in local government. The rule change refers specifically to the need for confidentiality in principal authorities where there are fiduciary responsibilities that councillors must be able to perform in a confidential manner. We would not anticipate or expect that those who don't hold those duties are participating in confidential decisions around, for example, staffing matters relating to employees in local government. And so therefore, in card vote 5, we'd certainly urge conference to vote in favour, and in doing so, welcome regional mayors to the family of local government in our representative body. On card vote 6, Bracknell CLP, I think we would say that we certainly understand the sentiment that Bracknell CLP moves that rule change. But I think from the overwhelming contributions of conference that we've heard, it is incredibly important that we are able to field candidates in every constituency and in every council seat. And sometimes that does require the use of staff and indeed representatives on our democratic forums. So we don't want to introduce into the rule book rules that are going to disable us from being able to do that. And it's a very practical reason, therefore, that we are asking conference to vote against card vote 6. Likewise, on card vote 7, Lewis CLP, again, we absolutely understand the motivation behind wanting to bring forward parliamentary selections. And I think we heard passionately from the delegate about the role of being able to select candidates in the context of encouraging campaigning. We want CLPs and we want regions to be able to campaign all year round, and that shouldn't necessarily involve only having to have a parliamentary candidate in place. And hopefully, conference will serve as a great example as to how all of you can get involved, even more so outside of an election cycle. But very practically speaking, conference, whether it is a conference to organise, a deputy leadership election to organise, or indeed responding to by-elections and so much more, it's entirely appropriate that we have flexibility in setting timetables for the party to be able to select its candidates. And we certainly note the desire of all CLPs to be able to select their candidates in good time. So therefore, we would ask conference to vote against card vote 7. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Peter, and delegates, thank you very much for that debate as well. Next, we would have the priorities ballot, but we are going to come back to that and go straight to votes now. So we'll take the votes on all of those card votes that you heard about. The constitutional amendments are constitutional amendments are card votes numbers 1 through to 7. And they, I think, they're on the screen now behind me. And just to remind all delegates that card vote 8 was withdrawn. Tellers will bring round ballot boxes in a second. Please put all of your votes at the same time. And please remain in your seats whilst you do that, colleagues. It just makes it easier to get ballots. And colleagues, please, if you are a delegate, do not leave the conference hall yet, because we still have the priorities ballots and information about composite meetings, which are important, and we'll take those after we've voted. So please do not leave the room, if you can hold on for a bit. And please remain seated, just so we can get these votes done in an orderly fashion. Delegates, if you wouldn't mind, please remain in your seats and in the conference hall as well. And if you've not voted, and if you can you please just put your ballots up in the air? There are lots of colleagues here, which I think is London region, who need a ballot box. There are colleagues there, I think, in the GMB that also need a ballot box. Not you, Kieran, don't worry. Colleagues at the back. Any votes left there? Colleagues on the right-hand side of the stage. Democracy in action. We love to see it. Other colleagues that need their votes taken, could you just put them in the air? Can't see any more. I'll check one more time. Is there anyone that hasn't voted yet?
A few in the front here still.
Oh, where? I can't see them.
Some people here.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Got you now. It's still London region that needs to vote, isn't it?
Some at the back down there.
Oh, okay. Colleagues right at the back as well, yeah. London region, have you all voted? Okay, good. I think that's votes done. Someone you can call?
Yeah, someone can.
Anyone else need to vote? This is your last chance. Okay. I think that is the vote concluded.
The results will come tomorrow.
Prior to ballot results.
No,
Colleagues, thank you very much. The results of those card votes will be announced tomorrow morning, I presume, in CAC2.
And we've got the composite room, so we can call that busy now.
Perfect, brilliant. We'll move on to the priority ballots. Apologies for the delay, colleagues. So conference will move to vote on today's business. No, sorry, the script's completely changed now. Let me try this again. Conference, I'll now ask our Chief Scrutineer, Izzy Lenger, to present the results of the priorities ballot. Been a job in this. Welcome, Izzy.
Thanks. Chair, Conference, Izzy Lenger, Chief Scrutineer. It's an absolute honour to be your Chief Scrutineer again this year, and it's wonderful to see so many of you this afternoon. I will now give the results of the priorities ballot, which determines the motions that will be debated at this year's conference. The ballot was divided into two sections, one section for CLPs and one for affiliated organisations. The National Executive Committee has agreed that the 7 priority subjects achieving the greatest percentage of votes cast in the CLP section and the 7 achieving the greatest percentage of votes in the affiliated organisation section will be timetabled for debate. However, should any subject area be selected in both sections, then the subject area with the next highest ranking vote from the appropriate section will be added to the list. ensuring that the net result will be that 14 priority subjects are selected, 7 by CLPs and 7 by affiliated organisations. So I will now announce the results of the CLP section. Animal welfare, cleaning up our community's fly tipping, high streets, NHS dentistry, skills, violence against women and girls, misogyny and domestic abuse, and lastly, water. The results for the affiliate section is as follows: AI and our rights, guaranteed hours, industrial energy prices, public sector workers, public spending, staffing and adult social care, and subsidiary companies and insourcing. These are therefore the 14 topics that will be timetabled for debate. A full breakdown of the results will be published in tomorrow's CAC report. The meet point and times for compositing will be displayed on the screen in the main hall above. Thanks so much, conference.
Thank you very much, Izzy Lenger, for Chief Scrutineering. Composite meetings will be this evening. Delegates from CLPs and affiliates whose motions have been successful in the priorities ballots will therefore need to attend the composite meetings, the details of which are as follows. They will come up on the screen, but for accessibility reasons, I will also read them out. At 5 p.m, High Street, that will be in all of the rooms, are all in the ACC. At 5 p.m, High Street, it will be in 11A. At 5 p.m, Water will be in room 10. Also at 5 p.m, NHS Dentistry will be in room 13. At 6 o'clock, Fly Tipping will be in room 10. At 7 o'clock, Public Spending will be in 11C. At 7 o'clock also, AI and Our Rights will be in room 11A. At 7 o'clock also, Animal Welfare will be in room 10. And also at 7 o'clock, Staffing in Adult Social Care will be in room 13. At 8 o'clock, Violence Against Women and Girls will be in room 11B. At 9 o'clock, Skills will be in room 11C. And also at 9 o'clock, Industrial Energy Prices will be in room 11A. Please do take a picture of the screen as well, just so you have that for your reference. Okay, conference, before we adjourn, delegates, please can you not leave your bags in the main hall between sessions, as they will be removed. For those delegates going to composite meetings, all the rooms, as I said, are in the ACC, which is across the bridge from the exhibition centre, and start times, as we've just illustrated, are on the screen. Conference now stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and enjoy your evening's conference.
We can do it our way, and if love's just a game, then come and play.